You people should know your place. The words dropped like a hammer as Officer Reed blocked Amaya's path, his badge glinting while a small crowd pretended not to hear. Amaya tried to step around him, but he planted a hand beside her head on the wall, trapping her like a suspect instead of an honor student. Heat rose in her throat, anger, shame, confusion, yet she stayed still, refusing to break. Nearby, a locker slammed shut, echoing the start of everything. They said it right to her face, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Girls like you don't belong in this school." The words cut through the warm California morning like a blade, stopping Amaya Price mid-step. A black honor student, soft-spoken but sharp-minded, she stood beneath the school's flagpole gripping her debate binder as two uniformed officers smirked at her hesitation. One of them, Officer Reed, lifted her chin with a single finger and whispered, "Say it. Admit you people don't fit here." Students nearby watched, wide-eyed, unsure whether to intervene or pretend nothing was happening. Amaya's breath tightened, her pulse hammering in her ears. Before she could respond, the bell shrieked, a piercing sound slicing through the tension, carrying the story straight into the day that would change everything. Amaya walked quickly toward the main building, trying to steady her breathing. Reed's partner, Officer Hall, followed a few steps behind, radio dangling casually from his hand. His presence felt deliberate, as if he wanted her to know she wasn't free to move without permission. When she reached her locker, she tried to focus on her debate outline, but her fingers shook. That was when the first tiny hurtful detail appeared: her father's bracelet, the one he'd given her before deployment, was no longer on her wrist. Somewhere in that confrontation, it had slipped off, and the officers hadn't bothered to tell her. Hall leaned beside her locker, tapping the metal door. "Open it," he ordered, as if she were already a suspect. "Random safety search." "It's the second time this month," she whispered. "Then stop giving us reasons to check," he replied. He pulled out her phone, examined it, and muttered, "Senior-level privilege, huh? Odd for someone like you." The phrase stung worse than the search itself. Students passing by slowed their steps, whispering to each other. Amaya shrank inward, feeling the walls close in as if the hallway itself were siding with the officers. During lunch, whispers grew louder, rumors that she had disrespected an officer, that she was carrying something suspicious. None were true, but truth moved slower than gossip. When she entered the cafeteria, conversations dipped. Phones subtly angled toward her. Someone had uploaded a clip of the morning incident, cut short, edited to make her look combative. Amaya stood alone with her tray, scanning the room for one friendly face. None looked back. The isolation wrapped around her chest, making every breath harder to pull. She set her tray down and whispered to herself, "What would you do if this happened to you?" A cold voice answered from behind her. "You're not done yet." Officer Reed stood there again, his thumb hooked near his belt. "After school, you and I are having a longer conversation." Her knees weakened beneath her. The final bell released the campus into a blur of noise, but Amaya felt none of it. She stepped outside only to find Reed and Hall waiting near the student parking lot. Reed approached with a cruel, practiced confidence. "Walk with us," he said. "We need to clear up your attitude problem." "I didn't do anything," Amaya replied, barely audible. Reed chuckled. "That's the thing. You people always think innocence is a shield." He grabbed her wrist, hard this time, triggering a flash of panic. Hall blocked her path as Reed leaned in. "You're one complaint away from losing everything. Colleges don't take troublemakers." For a moment, Amaya believed him. She felt small, invisible, crushed beneath the weight of two uniforms backed by a system she couldn't outrun. Her eyes burned. Her voice trembled. Her father was thousands of miles away. No help. No protection. Then a sound cut through the parking lot, the low, unmistakable hum of a military SUV. It rolled to a stop beside them. The door opened. And the man who stepped out made both officers stiffen. Her father. The most feared Delta Force commander in recent U.S. military history. Commander Price walked toward them with measured precision, boots quiet, gaze locked on Reed. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Take your hand off my daughter." Reed stepped back instantly, color draining from his face. Hall's radio crackled as dispatch called for both officers. Internal Affairs had just issued an emergency suspension related to a live-streamed complaint. Someone had filmed everything that morning. Commander Price's voice remained steady. "You used your badge to intimidate a minor. A black minor. In broad daylight. You thought no one would see." Reed opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, no words formed. Amaya stepped closer to her father, but her eyes stayed on Reed. "You asked me to admit something," she said quietly. "Here it is. I don't break." The officers were escorted off campus minutes later as students gathered in stunned silence. One tiny glint on the pavement caught Amaya's eye, her missing bracelet. She picked it up, slipping it back onto her wrist. Justice had arrived, but the echo of what happened would linger. A reminder. A warning. A beginning.